Hello, this is Ryan Fritz with Science of Cardio, delivering the latest and greatest and the pros and cons of exercise science. Hey, Ryan Fritz here with Science of Cardio. We're talking about home gyms. This is something that I really like. I thought about doing this as a suggestion, of what to get. So I'm going to do a little hybrid of what I have and then also recommendations. So home gyms are the new craze. People are noticing that it's more efficient time-wise. You don't have to travel to the gym. It's a lot quicker. It can be more efficient. You don't have to pay for gym memberships and there's no broken equipment. You're not waiting for a machine that's tied up by somebody, and you can kind of customize your equipment to your needs. So the downside of home gyms that I noticed with my clients and people is not having enough load. So if you have a 250 pound, 6'5" guy that's very strong, usually most people don't get 4, 5, 600 pounds at their home gym. So that's a kind of an issue to think about. Equipment can be a limitation if you don't have certain things, maybe like a pull-up bar or some kind of a squat rack. Also, another thing I've seen a challenge is anchor points. So trying to tie bands and trunk twists and TRX exercises can be challenging if you don't have the right setup for that. So I recommend getting some sort of dumbbell system, a stationary bike, bands, a stability ball, and a mat to start out as the basic equipment. If you have the money, I really suggest power blocks. They're adjustable dumbbells. They're very kind of heavy duty. They're not going to break or fall apart. I also use a tool called the isophit. You can pretty much do a gazillion exercises with it, and it's very multi-purposed and gives you lots of opportunity and options to do different strength exercises. If you want to go a little bit further and you have more needs, a barbell would be a good recommendation, and then like a TRX system, suspension training system, where you can do exercises. But I think the name of the game of the home gym is buying stuff or getting or acquiring things that are multi-purposed, gives you lots of opportunity and options, and it kind of has dual purposes of you can do a lot of things, doesn't take up a lot of space, and you can kind of minimally use up your basement or a room, a bedroom, or garage. So some equipment that I have, I first started out in my 20s right out of college. I bought power blocks. I used these in Arizona when I was working with professional athletes. Great tool. Some of the power block kits are adjustable up to 125-pound dumbbells. So I bought a kit. Started out with 50 pounds, so it went 2 and then 2.5 increment pounds all the way up to 50 pounds. And I bought the kit that I could expand up to 90 pounds. So I have 90-pound adjustable dumbbells. There are other brands out, but I think that the Power Blocks is by far the superior version on the market. Another tool that I use or have is an isophit. It's a little bit expensive, but you can do any and every exercise, and you can do corrective or rehab, kind of low intensity exercises. You can also do max effort, really get after it, but it's super safe, and you can do 1,000+ exercises with that. I do have a squat rack that I use. I can do shoulder shrugs, squats, push presses. I have the kind of the safety arms, so I can work out by myself and I don't have to have somebody spotting me. Obviously, like a squat cage would be great for the solo kind of workout person, but opens up a lot of opportunities. You can tie bands onto the frame. You can do wood chops, trunk rotations. You can tie TRX onto the frame or maybe the bar and do different exercises. I also have an ab wheel, so use that for doing different ab exercises. I think it's pretty small and easy to store, but very effective exercise tool. Then a stability ball. You can do multiple exercises, and you can use it as a seat or a chair. You can do leg curls, you can do ab exercises, knee tucks, and different challenges. Another thing that I have is a hex bar. I have about 400 pounds of kind of barbell weights. So that allows me to do kind of heavy deadlifts, and if I want to do some shrugs, that's a little bit easier for my personal posture issues that I have. So that allows me to do some other modified kind of exercises. I also have a sliding track. So I went on, I think it was Amazon, and I bought this truck tie down sliding track kit. And essentially I have it on both walls and the ceiling, and it's got an adjustable pin that I can move, so I can tie bands and straps and handles onto, and I can pretty much move that anywhere from the floor all the way to the ceiling and then all the way across the ceiling, so I can get a lot of angles and do different resistance challenges or profiles, work on some physics things, getting multiple resistance planes, lateral and horizontal. So again, it opens up a ton of options and opportunities. And then I have a TRX mounted onto the ceiling. So it's just a TRX X mount, and I can do different TRX exercises. And that's pretty much the basis of my home gym. Outside in the barn, I have the traditional machines. So I have kind of a pull-up bar, cable crossover, squat rack, hack squat, lat pull down, chest press, chest fly, leg extension, leg curl, an ab machine. I would recommend kind of starting, and you can kind of grow it over time. If there's a certain exercise or tool that you really like, I would say, kind of prioritize your buying and spending and how much, stuff's going to cost. And then also size is a big factor. I think the Rogue squat racks are pretty cool. The system that I have and use is a Rogue squat rack that folds up. It's got these big hinge pins, and you can fold it up into the wall. If space is an issue, you can kind of use that as a modular and move it and close it up. So I also have a Kaiser stationary bike. There's different options out there. You have Peloton and Nordic track versions of stationary bikes. I think, at the end of the day, it's really kind of principles, knowing how to train, what to train, work to rest, recovery days. If you have all that science base, I don't really think that, a more expensive piece of equipment does any different than a kind of mid-grade. Obviously, if you're buying lowest of the low purchase price point, you're going to have just less structure and strength with it. The quality's not going to feel as good. But my Kaiser bike is kind of, I would say, middle of the road as far as expense goes. And it really comes down to your needs. If you need a coach or motivation, then something with a TV screen, Nordic track, or maybe Peloton might be a better option for you. If you're self-motivated, I like the bike because it's lower impact. I can get on there really quickly, bust out a 20-30 minute workout, and I don't have to go to the gym, don't have to be anywhere. So very efficient, very quick, and doesn't take up too much space. Some other ideas and points is you can get a weighted vest. So I have a 25-pound weighted vest. You can do pull-ups with resistance. We have a playground that has monkey bars, so I will do pull-ups outside. You can do, jumping jacks and burpee push-ups and run. I like to do a lot of hill running up kind of in the woods that we have by the side of the hill. Very challenging, low equipment. But the best advice I can give you is to challenge yourself and make the intensity appropriate. Some people can do things very aggressively. Some things aren't appropriate and they're too intense for people. So just be kind of thoughtful and mindful about what you're doing and how you're doing it, and that should help you save your joints and have a healthy body. Me and my wife really like to bike on the C&O Canal, so we'll take our road bikes. There's a trail out by our house, and we can do 50 miles. So that's great exercise. You're out in nature, you're seeing scenery, you can stop, take a look at the river, talk to people. So a little bit more engaging than sitting on a stationary bike. Going for walks, going for runs, running, around the neighborhood, up hills, going swimming, swimming in the ocean, swimming in the lake, swimming in a river or a pool, are great ways to kind of get your cardio in. They're very different and change, and it's good exercise. Some other things that I use are ankle weights. You can use those on your ankles and do leg exercises. You can put them on your wrists and do arm shoulder challenges. Mini bands are a great tool for hips, legs, and shoulders. But also be very creative. You can use a wall for wall squats, a door jamb for hip exercises, pushing and pulling into objects that don't move. You can push against your car, try to pull or lift your car up, and you will get muscle contractions, and that will increase strength and help with ligament, tendon, and tissue strengthening. So you can find a lot of products on Amazon. I like to use Rogue Fitness, so check them out. There's some other companies that have similar products that might be a lesser price point. But again, check the quality, the kind of size of the steel, and the durability of it. You'll pay for what you get. So if something's kind of lowballed, and it might not be a quality item, and try to get name brand stuff if you can, because usually they're the reason they're at the top of the market, because they sell good quality stuff. So TRX is another good company. Also Power Systems, they have a ton of gym and fitness equipment that I always buy from. Check out Kaiser.com, powerblocks.com. Also look at isophit.com. Another fun item is a warrior rope or battle rope. You can use these for multiple purposes, but good conditioning tool, working on power, endurance, strength, and hurdles, like step hurdles, boxes. You can build boxes, you can use chairs, you can use steps, or you can buy like a traditional plyo box to get some different challenges. But at the end of the day, have fun with it, be creative, and challenge yourself and push yourself for a good workout. If you're going to go down the cardio rabbit hole, I would recommend starting out with a stationary bike. Usually it is healthier and safer on the joints than maybe running or some other modalities. If you want to go down that kind of rabbit hole, I would suggest an arc trainer over a elliptical machine because of force, and you're kind of pushing forward. Another fun tool that I have is called a slide board, but it's basically a piece of plastic and it's got these nylon booties, and you can do lunges, or you can kind of push side to side like you're kind of skating as if you were on ice. Another basic cardio tool that I would recommend after stationary bike would be a treadmill. You can run, you can walk depending on what your level is. You can do inclines and do lots of different variations. This is, something I would use kind of on the side, around the winter, the weather seasons. If it's too hot or too cold, you can use this modality or tool. They're very expensive. There's a motor, so there's a lot of maintenance-y stuff. Their belt, sometimes has to be tightened and adjusted. So you get into kind of that high-end expense of having a company come out and do certain things, buying a motor maybe every 5 to 10 years, depending on the quality and how much you use it. But again, it's your call, it's your gym. You figure out what you like, what you don't like, what's cost effective and kind of space efficiency, and get what you ultimately want and like. I think a rowing machine is another great tool. Little of a price point for kind of one exercise, but great upper and lower body challenges. Again, working on power endurance, which is a great conditioning tool. So if that is a high priority on your list, maybe kind of bump that up to the top. Okay, so this wraps up this podcast on home gyms. Hopefully it was informative and enlightening, and hopefully you get some good information and it points you in a better direction on kind of what to buy, what to invest in, what to use. Again, I think home gyms are the kind of the trend of the future. We have, Skype and virtual training and Zoom. So I think that the gyms are going to be less used and people are going to be working out at their houses, and, having the right tools and also being efficient about your space. Invest in your finances into things that are multi-purpose, and give you lots of options and opportunities are kind of a wise approach to that home gym setting. So thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Check us out at sciencecardio.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Have a good one and happy training.